Okie dokie. Hi again. Thank you for choosing In My Shoes. I'm Hilda Kathy Broady, your host. Remember, we at In My Shoes are taking a different approach to servicing the world. So get your pen and your paper because we don't have commercials and we'd like you to have the information. Okay, we're continuing with our planning for retirement and what to do after you retire series. And I have a very special guest with me today.
Good to
Edris
see
Eddy.
you.
Good to see you
I
again.
look into your face. Like I love you. I love coming on your show, Miss Brody, face to face. I love it. Then we could talk about that other computer stuff, technical technology. But we have to get these kids know, feel, and touch each other. And I'm not talking about the sexualized, and I don't want to talk about that either. But learn how to communicate, look each other in the eye. That's how my grandfather taught me. He
Me and
said,
mine.
when you looking at somebody in the eye, they got you and they appreciate you. They know where you stand for and they know where you're coming from. So we need to go back to the old standards. We need to teach our children the syllables, consonants. They don't know that either.
I'm
I asked
feeling
somebody, I asked one, huh?
I feel so bad for them
Huh?
because we thought that school was difficult, but we got through it. And I don't know what they're doing in school now. I just don't know what they're doing there. Maybe we need to go back and watch and fill
That's
in
a
the
good
gaps.
idea.
And fill in the gaps because I mean
That's a good
and
idea.
I think since the No Child Left Behind is when it really got the worst. Okay, because they all know how to take a test. They don't know what the stuff means, but they know how to take the test. I'm not saying they do well on the test. I'm saying, didn't you recently have grandparents, foster grandparents going into the schools to tutor
Oh,
the
they have
kids?
that constantly because they need that. Because last time I was on your show, I was talking about foster care, grandparents and stuff,
Hmm.
and I worked with them. It was very nice. I stayed like for 2 months. I enjoyed myself too, and reading to them, talking to their parents, and the parents didn't want to let me go. I said, no, I'm only here for summer. I'm sorry, but I would love to come back next summer.
Okay.
But I enjoyed myself. It was a very, very tedious job. I'm going to tell you that
Working with
because
kids
they
is hard.
needed that attention, which their parents didn't have the time to really do with them, and
And sometimes the parents don't have the skills.
they don't have the skill. They need to make that too. They have to give classes for the young parents. They're getting younger and younger every year. We got to make those skills for those young parents, for them to grow with their children and be a better person for their children. We have to let that happen because the children is just going to grow up and just don't know nothing. They don't know what to do. If they get in a problem, they wouldn't know how to think. Most kids don't know how to think, how to get themselves out of different situations. That's part of being an adult. You have to think. Sit down and think. Oh, how I'm going to do this. Let me. Let me write this down. They don't do that no more. They just act on the first thing that comes in their mind. So we have to learn our children to control how to go about business, how to go about their manners in life, how to live the right way, and make it role model for their children, and their children will know how to take care of themselves and their children. This is what generation
It's
does.
steps. It's the steps that
It's
we
the
need to
steps.
take.
You take steps.
One
It's
step at a
simple.
time.
Simple.
Oh, before I forget. You know that program we were talking about when Janice was with us? Accessor Rights Program, eHail?
Yes.
You know it ended on April 30th.
That's what they was telling me. This is
Because
crazy.
it worked.
It
You
worked. It
sit
worked.
back and you sit back
It
and you
worked.
say, wow, it's working.
It's
It's
working.
working. It's working. And then they say, well, it stopped on April 30th.
That's unreal.
So now you're back
We're back to one.
to being left places. And with the lawsuit is going through. And I'm glad that the lawsuit is going through because
Okay.
they're still only talking about 15 stations being made accessible when the whole transit system needs
Well,
to
let me
be
tell you,
accessible.
remember, Miss.
They need to make the whole system accessible. They're being sued because the system is not
That's
accessible. Train is not the problem. It's getting to the train that's the problem.
that was in the beginning process.
No, that's still now. I
It's
live
still
at
going
Woodlawn.
on now?
Hello, that's what that's why I'm so mad, because if I live at Woodlawn and it's a hub station and it's not accessible, and I had to walk
Oh
up the
my
stairs with the
God.
walker, even the turnstiles are not accessible. So you have to go through the door, go through the gate, hope somebody's there so that you can go through the gate, because then you're a fare thief, even though I have a
Yeah, you
Metro
have your
card,
own Metro card.
and
yeah.
then walk up another 2 flights of stairs to get to the
Oh,
train.
Lord.
That's what I'm saying. The train stations are not accessible. When I took the train down to Bowling Green, the elevator doesn't work. So you tell me you have an elevator at Bowling Green, but you don't have it working.
Mm.
And this is for disabled people. This is for
regular
senior
people.
citizens. These are for moms with strollers.
The strollers,
Hello?
they had to take all of that.
And it's not accessible.
The ramp and all
It's
that.
not accessible. And they had no
They have
plans
to,
on making it accessible.
let me
And
tell
it's
you,
our fault. It's people with disabilities' fault. It really is our
it
fault.
really is our fault.
Because we made a whole lot of noise to get the ADA pass.
Yeah,
I
you
went to, how
did.
many times did I go to Washington,
I
D.C.?
was there.
I mean, how many
I came.
congressmen and senators' office did I sit in making noise about this
came
ADA?
down. I
And all,
remember that.
okay, we have the, and then we said, okay, they're going to do everything they're supposed to do because
Yeah.
we have a law now, and they did nothing.
They did nothing.
They did minimal,
Well,
and it's not going to get any better until we start really.
we have to do this again. We have
And
to.
the rallies, I mean, it was so
Rallies.
bad that they've changed where we can park now, even with the permits. So even going to the rally has become difficult because now where it used to be no parking anytime, there's no standing anytime. So all of our permits are invalid.
Well, I'm telling you, for now on, from this point, this year, 2019, we have to start getting out there before the election year comes.
We've been asking for a black political event
We got to
convention
get down on
so that
them.
we can get our agenda. And if we don't have an agenda,
Well,
it's going to be the same old stuff on a different day.
And I'm going to tell you, all of us need to get together and start.
Yeah, for real though, for real. Not this lip service stuff.
A big fuss in the neighborhoods. Get all.
Everybody needs to vote.
And not only vote, get down on these people running these different programs.
Look, you got the mayor's wife who can't tell you where the Thrive money went. Okay. Now, if she can't tell you where the Thrive money went, and that's millions of dollars, because they don't have it, I'm saying is we better not only vote, but we're gonna hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah, because
go to their offices. You can go to their office. You
don't
have to have a rally because
we don't have to even go in.
The only rally I want to have right now is show me the money. Where's that lottery money? Where's that lottery money? That's the only rally that I will go to. If you can show me where that lottery money went, because I know too many teachers who are spending their money. They're spending their money for supplies. And
that's crazy.
If you gave away almost $1 billion in lottery money, so why are the schools in such disarray? Because they put the money in the general fund and nobody started making noise about that.
They should not even put that in.
It's supposed to. The reason that it's in existence, why OTB was in existence, was for education. It's not now. It's in the general fund. It's in the general fund, and nobody's making noise.
Why?
Why are you not making noise about that?
Yes.
So I don't want to rally about any. I'll go to Central Park and ask them. Let's go to Central Park and have a rally about that.
We have to do it.
Let's make some. Show me the money, because nobody's still showing you the money.
Because I see you on your own. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're on your own. You got to make things happen, and stop
get involved.
And stop looking for the government giving you handouts. They're not gonna give you no handouts. Start making it happen like we did years and years ago. We went out there and did what we had to do to make a statement and make it happen. We got to get back to the centrals. We have to do it. It takes work to do this. We got to pull our sleeves up and just go and get busy. That's all. We're doing it for our children. We're doing it for the next generation. And that's
We're doing it for ourselves as well. We're doing it for ourselves as well. We've been busting behind for how many years? How many years?
That's the bottom line.
And I actually realized that we're never going to get it right. It's one step at a time, but we better be living each day to the fullest because we really aren't promised tomorrow.
There you go.
Okay, so
there you go.
we can plan for the future and work toward the future, but we need to be living today as
there
well.
You go. That's what's
so
going on.
I don't keep saying later on,
No, it's now.
And plus, let's get people who are getting ready to retire to make sure they're taking care of their health. Please take care of your health.
That's another
because
thing.
I have one of my bowlers. She retired in November of 2017.
Oh my God.
And she passed away like 3 months after she had been retired. No, 2 months after she had been retired for a year. And she spent that year back and forth to the hospital, in and out of the hospital. Take care of yourself.
Please take care of
Do what you need to do so that you can stay healthy. Because we tend to not do that. We put it on the back burner. I'll take care of it later. I'll take care of it later.
No.
Take care of it now so that there will be a later.
Exactly.
There will be a later.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, and I have a coach who, her husband called me and he was crying. She was in a coma. Not, this is someone else. This was last week. She's out of the coma now. But it's like,
Thank God.
you have to take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
And you put and I talked about her before because she was taking care of everybody else. She was taking care of her grandson, taking care of her husband, and neglected herself. Put yourself first so that you can help others. So I'm not trying to say ignore other people because we're never going to do that.
You have to take care of yourself. You have to, because God said you got to take care of yourself to help others. He's not telling you to be selfish. This is very important. I was sitting in church the other week, and looking at me, and they were saying, "Was she in a wheelchair?"
Used to be, in the olden days.
They like following me. Then she used to be. Who's she?
Because improvement.
You gotta take care of yourself.
That's it. And with that, all right. I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me on your show, sweetie.
Okay, and to my audience, I want to thank you for choosing In My Shoes. I'm Hilda Kathy Broady, your host. We're continuing with our planning for retirement and what to do after you retire series. And I have a very special guest with me today, Miss Margot Estrin.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Nice to be here.
She already has on her shoes, so she's in my shoes.
That's right.
And I've been retired for 9 years, and you've been retired a little bit longer than that.
About the same. It was in 2010.
Wow, same year. Okay.
Yeah, I've lost track of it too.
So, tell me about, you worked and then you retired and.
Well, I had a lot of jobs. I really was. I was an interpreter. I worked in the courts. I was a Spanish teacher. I worked for a Brazilian airline.
Really?
Yeah, but I was happy to retire. I really was. And I didn't want to just sit around. So I'd always been interested in stand-up. So I thought I'd try it. And I did. And it's been pretty amazing.
I was talking earlier about I never did my poetry on stage until after I retired. And that's what brought me to BronxNet, to TV. Is that, okay, I could do this then. And you actually do stand-up. I wanted to, but I always forget the lines.
Yeah, well, it's not easy to remember the lines. Once in a while, you're there and you're fishing for the line. And it's harder than you think it is, because you've got to, when you write, you wind up writing a lot, and you've got to cut it, and the words are important. So the order is important.
You have to do, you write your own
materials? If you're Bill Maher, you don't write your own stuff. But if you're just Margot Estrin, you write your stuff. Okay. Absolutely.
Well, nobody can say you took their stuff if you wrote it yourself.
No, although I've done open mics, which open mics are really difficult because you have to sit there maybe for 2 hours sometimes to do 5 minutes. And in my case, most of the people who are doing it are very young. So I'm an exception, you know.
It's supposed to be for everybody though, right?
It is supposed to be for everybody, and it is. But the thing is, you have to, in an open mic, you just have to try things out, because that's when you see if something's working or not.
Where do you do this?
You do it in different clubs, and you do a lot of it just in open mics because you're practicing. But I was studying, and where I was studying was a club, and they had different shows. So we would get to do it then. But once I did it in front of 200 people.
Wow.
And that was really something. I almost said no, but then I thought, what am I studying for if I'm not going to do it? And it was in a regular comedy club, and I did it. Yeah, I really did well. I couldn't believe it. But once I'm up there, then it's okay. When I'm
Okay,
starting to go up, that's when you get nervous. I don't eat before it.
Oh, really?
No, no food.
Ooh.
No, I want to make sure everything is in working order.
Okay, so it doesn't growl on you, or?
No, nothing growls.
Okay.
So.
And without further ado, Margot's going to give us something to laugh at. Comedy, comedy, comedy. Margot, take it away.
Brings me to our next, our guest performer this evening. She's really good, but she has not ever really performed in front of a crowd like this size before. And I told her she was good, which is probably the kiss of death. Unfortunately, she always is like, please tell me I'm bad, please tell me I'm bad, but I didn't. She is kind of just starting out, so I swear this is true. I think she's a delight. I think you're going to like her too. She's doing a short set. Please put your hands together. A warm welcome for Margot Estrin, everybody.
Hey. Yes, I'm just starting out. Obviously not in life. You know you're getting older when people start calling you ma'am. My first man was the grocery boy on 110th Street in Broadway. You never forget that day. It was my mini 9/11. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, partly cloudy, and I was buying a tomato. You know, and women complain about construction workers when they shout things out at them. I love construction workers. Used to be so great when I passed by and they'd say, hey, honey, what's going on? Watch your step, beautiful. Well, the other day I must have walked by this construction site 5 times. Finally, this guy said, ma'am, are you lost? I'm very neurotic. Surprise. I care too much what people think about me. I have a blind friend, and I hate going to the movies with her. Because she talks through the whole thing. Not because she's blind, because she's black. I want to get up and say, it's not me talking. It's my blind friend, Marta. And I got to tell you, she's going to be shouting things out like, what's happening? Is it the next day? I even care too much what people think when I'm in a foreign country. I was in Rio and I almost drowned because I was afraid I couldn't say help right. Like the lifeguard would say, she said it wrong, let her drown. My girlfriend and I went to this Chinese restaurant, Woki. The food was really lousy. The waiter said, do you want to take it home? I said, okay, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But why would I want to take it home if I didn't like it there? So there was this homeless guy right outside the restaurant. So I went up to him and I said, sir, would you like this food? He said, whoa, Key. Fuck you and your fucking food. You goddamn bitches, you lesbians. A simple no thank you would have been sufficient. I really try to help the homeless. I give them little hints. Like, don't mumble. Yeah. And don't stand too close, 'cause you smell. And remember, nobody likes a whiner. This kid who works in the supermarket in the produce department said, I'm not voting for Obama because he's going to raise our taxes. I said, you got to listen. That's only for people who make more than $250,000. And that's not you, vegetable boy. This guy in front of me in the supermarket, I'm always in the supermarket. He knocked over a whole bunch of rice-a-ronis and kept going. So I said, that's right, leave it on the floor. He said, fuck you. I said, yeah, jerk off. He said, bitch, that's why you're alone. Which I thought was pretty presumptuous. Just because I was shopping alone. And then I thought, how did he know? Was it the one tomato? I got into a big fight with this nasty woman in the subway. You can see I'm always getting into fights. I don't know why. But it was a big to-do. I know a big to-do doesn't sound like much, but in my day, a big to-do was worse than murder. The train was really crowded, and I accidentally bumped into her. I said, I'm sorry. She gave me this really dirty look. And she said, now you say you're sorry? I said, when was I supposed to say it? Before it happened? And all kinds of things annoy me. Like, what's up with one-ply toilet paper? And there's this traffic lady on New York 1 that talks in abbreviations. She says, everything's moving on the Jackie and the George, but there's an accident on Atlantic Ave. I don't talk like that. I don't say I live in an apt on the 5th flow. One last thing before I go. I was on an escalator in Penn Station, and this woman behind me kept pushing me. So finally I said to her, go ahead if you're in such a hurry. And she said to her friend, she's lucky she's old, or I'd cut off her head and roll it down the escalator. That really upset me. The old part. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I was talking about how blessed I am, because we all are blessed, right?
Yes, we are.
So-
We don't appreciate it sometimes, but we are until you see somebody who really has problems. Then you know you're doing all right.
Exactly, because I started thinking about, well, I think about some of the bad things that happened to me, and I started looking at the good things. Like freshman year, Denzel Washington, his freshman year, he was at Fordham University Liberal Arts College.
Wow.
So how many people do you know can say one of his first acting things was at Fordham Lincoln Center, and I was on the stage, that same stage, not at the same time, but I was on the same stage as Denzel Washington was on the same year he started. How many people can say that? I'm blessed. That same year, December, I was on the stage with Stevie Wonder at the last sickle cell telethon.
Boy, you've met a lot of people.
Didn't need him. I was on the stage with him because
Yeah.
I was sitting on the phone making the phone call, taking the phone calls when people were calling in,
Right.
and he was right. I was so close to him. He was right there when he sang. His spirit hit me, and I was like, "It's all right. It's Stevie Wonder. I can live with this." And we didn't. And it wasn't that we planned on being at the telethon. We were actually at the Christmas dance at Lincoln Center at Liberal Arts College, and some brothers came in and said the sickle cell telethon is going on and we need some help. So we went over to the Coliseum to help. And from the Coliseum, somebody came and said, we need some people at the RKO. Can somebody come? We ended up there. So now they didn't have any milk, so we were opening up little half and half things to make milk for one of the people that was comedians that was on the stage. And then they said, we need somebody to be on the phones. And I got to the phone. And the thing that would, and Stevie Wonder came on. I was like, and I love him. I love him. I love him. But the thing that was more is that since we never knew that we were going to be there or anything, the next day, I didn't even call my mother to say I'm on. My mother called me and said, you had on a yellow turtleneck and a green crushed velvet jacket. I know that was you. How come you didn't call us and tell us? And I'm going, what are the chances of somebody actually seeing? That's called I'm blessed. So I thank all of my blessings and try to not to look at the negative stuff. Because I'm having so much fun being retired. Oh, I got you your KMA shirt.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Let
because
me see.
we are, okay, I'm the charter member.
I love that.
Okay, because when you retire, you get to say this to people. KMA. Because I don't have to listen to your crap anymore. Bye-bye, so long, take it easy. So this is yours.
Yeah.
And you can wear it, and now you don't have to say it. You just, and they know.
Yeah. I always think of things, that I want to say to people, but I don't say them because they're usually really horrible things.
Well,
Like
you got to keep it honest.
I have this one friend that complains all the time, and I feel like saying to her, "Why don't you just shut up?" Like, but I don't say that stuff because actually I care too much what people think about me. I think still, even after all these years and being 76 years old, I was just 76.
Really?
May
When?
1st.
Happy belated.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Wow.
can't believe it. The time goes so fast, and you really can't dwell on things because life goes too fast, and you've got to enjoy it.
Please, that's I'm begging people. Take each day
Yeah.
and use it and live it. Because everybody's always putting off for later. Putting off for later. And I started thinking, well, how much later am I gonna put this off to?
Yeah. Well, I did that with the comedy, really. I wanted to do it for years, and I didn't do it. And then finally one day I read this ad in the paper that was for a comedy teacher. So I said, I'm going to go. I was terrified. So I went, and when it was time for me to get up, I did it. But I was so nervous and so shook that I took a cab to the hospital. I thought I was having a breakdown. That was how I reacted to the first time.
To school.
To school. That was only school.
On
It wasn't
stage?
even a performance. That's
Wow.
all. But I was really scared. I'm sorry I didn't start it earlier, but at least I started it and found
Exactly.
out what it's all about.
Because the inside is not what we see on the outside. Is that true? I've heard that it's really, really, really cutthroat. And I didn't think so because everybody seems so happy.
Well, sometimes somebody steals your jokes,
Oh,
so that isn't good. Although most of my jokes nobody can steal because they're very personal to me.
so you have to tailor your material so that nobody else can really use it and be as effective.
It's true. And when it comes from me, it's particular. But the writing is difficult. You have to sit down when you write. Most of my stuff really happens to me. Like I was in the supermarket, and this guy said this to me.
Okay.
He said all that stuff. And then I looked, like I said, and I thought, well, maybe it was the one tomato that he knew that I was living alone.
Okay.
You know.
So you really take life and smile.
Yeah.
You can smile about stuff.
Yeah, things that happen. So that's it, really. But it is hard to do. You start out with a long thing and you pare it down. And the words are very important. Like in that joke, we ate dinner in this Chinese restaurant, Wo Ki. I added the Wo Ki because later the homeless man says, Wo Ki. He didn't even want the food himself because he says, Wo Ki, fuck you and your fucking food. And the joke changed because of that one word, Wo Ki. Because it was clearer that he thought the food was horrible there. If I had just said, we ate in this Chinese restaurant and the food was lousy, so I asked this homeless man, do you want this food? But that isn't as funny until you put the Wo Ki in, that he didn't even want the food. And actually, you can get things from your friends. Because my friend at the time, this really, like all this other stuff that happens. I was really on the escalator, by the way. And this woman said, if she weren't so old, I'd cut off her head and roll it down the escalator.
Wow.
And it's true. I wasn't upset that she told me that. I was upset about the old part.
Which is amazing. I keep saying that I'm 65. I don't feel 65.
I don't feel 76.
Yeah, I'm going to be 66 soon. But
wow.
long as we prepare for, because we seem to be very happy people. I'm so happy I don't have to go to work.
Yeah.
I'm so I can do what I want to do when I want to do it with whom I want, and if I don't want to do anything, then I don't have to.
Exactly.
And that's the good part, because we were trying to get people to start planning. When you decided to retire, did you go to a retirement seminar like a year before or 2 years before? Or you just said I had enough?
No, I actually retired because there was a deal.
I did
Otherwise,
too.
yeah. Otherwise, I probably would have
The
continued.
governor
but
said you could go out with full pension now if you want.
Yeah, there was a deal. It wasn't full pension, but they added a few years.
Well, my agency was, because I work for State Ed, and my agency wasn't targeted, so they didn't give me a month for a year for every. They didn't give me that a month for every year over. They didn't do that because we weren't targeted, so I had to take the 55-25.
But I got that. I really did. And now I can go to bed when I want. My husband, now he's my husband. I always wanted an Italian man. So I got one. The only thing is he lives in a little town where everybody knows your business. So like they know he married an American, the American is here, etc. But I did want an Italian husband. So now half of the time I'm in Italy and the other half I'm here.
That's wonderful.
It is.
Wait. So the temperature there is not even remotely close to the temperatures here, right?
Well, it doesn't get as cold there as it gets here. The only thing is, since it's an island, actually we live on a little island off an island. That's why everybody knows everybody's business. It's not as cold as here, it's just very windy because of the fact that it's an island. And things don't dry that easily. You can hang something up to dry, and a day later it'll still be wet.
Because the wind is blowing the mist. Okay.
And the important thing there is food.
Everybody likes.
Everybody. And I don't cook, so that's another reason. They think my husband cooks, and he's very impatient sometimes, so he doesn't even let me wash the dishes, which, hey.
Fine. It's fine.
That's fine with me. Well, I go to sleep usually at somewhere between 12 and 1. And he goes to sleep at 9 o'clock, 9:30. And I think he's a narcolepsy person. I really do, because he can be sitting there. Maybe I'm boring. I don't know. He can be sitting there and his eyes closed. One time he had set the coffee. He was making coffee. And he fell asleep. So all of a sudden, the smoke alarm went off and the doorman came up. And it was one of my favorite vintage coffee pots.
Uh-oh.
So usually I shut up. But this time I said, You ruined my coffee pot. What are you doing? You fell asleep. So he said, I'm going back to Italy. So I said, oh, don't be a baby. And that was the end of that. So I've learned Italian, and I speak pretty well. Well, I have to because he doesn't speak English. He knows some things, and he has two teachers. One is very demanding and nasty. That's me. And the other one is a real teacher. So when he's with her, he's very happy not to be with me.
Okay, but he's learning English.
He is learning English. He is learning English, but he's a bit shy. So it'll be 6 o'clock, and he'll say good morning, and I'll say, "What did you say good morning for?"
Why not?
But
Is it morning in Italy?
well, it's 6 hours later,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's even later. This woman, this is cousin of his, called me at 3 o'clock in the morning because it was 9 o'clock there.
Oh, okay.
And it was horrible because she wouldn't shut up. I
Answer
said,
the
"Do
phone.
you know?" I said, "Do you know
Is
it's
it
3
time?
o'clock in the morning here?" So she kept talking, and that was one of these moments where I wanted to say, enough already. But I was
Nice.
nice.
You was
Since
nice.
I still care too much what people think,
Okay.
which by 76 shouldn't be the case.
No, you do what you want to do.
No, that's why I admire you. You're one of my favorite people.
Thank you. Oh, because I
Really.
say what I say. Because then I don't have to remember stuff. See, you have to remember who to be nice to and who did this. And I've said not nice things to people when I've been angry with them, but then I let it go. See,
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you forever. I may be mad at you for something that you did, but I'm not mad at you forever. But I have to get it off my chest because guess what? My blood pressure is 110/70
Wow.
because I don't hold it in. I let it out, and then okay, we
That's
good.
good. That's low, right?
That's what you're
That's
supposed.
very low.
110/70 is low because they look how big I am, and they automatically say you have high blood pressure, and I go no. And they say you have diabetes. I said no. I'm just fat. Fix my thyroid. Fix my thyroid, and I'll be okay. So no. And I've learned that if you hold in stuff, your body starts fighting you. So I just let everything out and just go on with life.
No, it really is true. I should do that more.
And you don't have to curse them out like I do. You can say it nicely too, but you have to let people know. Otherwise, they think it's okay.
No, I wind up doing things I don't want to do a lot of the time. It's not.
No, you're supposed to be in charge
It's
now.
not good. Well, sometimes I'll actually. Oh, his cousin, the one I talked about, who's called me 3 o'clock in the morning. She only thinks of herself. I've never met anybody who was so narcissistic. And one time I actually spoke up because we were in a friend of hers' house. And I said to the friend, "You're so wonderful. You're so funny and interesting." So she said, "She's my friend," as if. So it was
She's
all.
a part of her.
Yeah, it was all about her again. So I dared to say that she's your friend has nothing to do
With the
with
fact that we're getting along.
I do try to speak up more.
Okay, it's really helpful, and it makes you feel better about you when you speak up. Because if you don't speak up, then you have to go home and think about what I should have said.
Oh
I could have
yeah,
said
shoulda, coulda,
and woulda.
and woulda.
So I
Yeah,
don't have the shoulda, coulda, woulda. I just do it.
yeah.
I'm learning how to not be so to tone it down a little bit, but I still have to say what's on my mind
I
because
think it's hard to find a middle ground though. Once you start spilling,
my mother had 13 children. If you didn't speak your mind and you didn't say it, you get lost in the shuffle here. Okay, I have
yeah.
7 brothers and 5 sisters.
I was an only child.
Oh, no wonder you had to be nice. See, we couldn't be nice in our house. We had to. Okay, they tried to do things like diplomatically. You had to vote on stuff. If what program you wanted to watch on TV, you had to vote for it because that was the democratic way. But there was always more boys than girls, so they were always winning. So no, that's not the right way. So I bought my own TV when I got 16. The heck with y'all, like that.
I
But
can't believe that. To me, such a huge family, growing up as the only child, I just, first of all, I can't imagine having one child, really, and
okay.
having actually to That child becomes, they should anyway, becomes your whole world. Now, what do you do when there's 12?
We visited our grandmother a lot. We visited our aunts and uncles a lot because my mother needed help with all of
Yeah.
us because she got married at 16.
16.
She got married. Well, that's in the olden days, the 1950s. She got married at 16. She had her first child at 17, her second child at 17, her third child at 18. I was her fourth child, and I was 19. She was 19 when she had me because my father was in the service. He was in the Navy. So every time he came home on leave, he made a baby. And then he went back
Yeah.
out to sea. So after a while,
But 16.
no, what? She
She
was
was
16 when she
16
got
when
married.
she got married. That's
My older sister got married at 16.
your older sister also, because that's another generation.
She got married at 16 too.
So did her marriage last?
No. No.
But 16, when you're 16, you don't know.
Well, back in the day, in the 60s, it was, I think my sister got married so that she could move out of the house, into her own.
That was very common, really. Why'd you get married? To get out of the house?
So I think that's why she got married, to get out of the house, because you can't leave at 16. I mean, I left at 14, but I had to come back.
You're amazing.
On my 14th birthday, my mother gave me the choice. You gonna follow my rules or get the hell out of my house. So I took my shopping bag and I left.
Your mother was very direct. I have to
Well,
say.
why should she put up with our crap? I was talking a whole lot of crap to her. And she didn't have to take that from a 14-year-old. Okay? I understand that now. Back then, I was mad as hell. I really wanted to. But she was right. So I had to, when I got sick and had to come back, because she had the Medicaid card, and she says, "You going to follow my rules now?"
Yeah.
And I realized I couldn't get a job out there. I was 14 years old. Nobody would hire me. And where was I? Living in people's cars and finding
Yeah.
open cars and sleeping here, and it was not really the move. So I went back and I said, okay, well, the next time I leave, it's going to be forever, but I'm going to have some. So, and me and my mother didn't get along at that time. So I went and stayed with her mother.
Well, you were, from what you say, you were a real pain in the ass.
I was. If I was my mother, I would have beat the stew out of me a lot more than she did, just to get me in line. But I thought I was grown.
Did you get some beatings?
My last beating, I was 12, and she beat me from one end of the house to the other, and I wouldn't cry. And that, when you don't cry, they beat more. I wasn't smart enough to realize, start crying and she may stop.
Yeah, they want to get some satisfaction.
And I kept saying, "I'm telling your mother on you. I'm telling your mother on you," because my grandmother, I told my grandmother, she beat me. She said, "Why? What did you do?" She didn't take my side. So I was like, "Oh, that didn't work." But the next time I left, I was 17, but I graduated from high school and went to college and just never went back. I went to visit, but I never went to live.
And your mother never said, "Why don't you come back?" Or
No.
like
She
that?
would tell people, my daughter went away to college and never came home. But she understood that I was working and going to school full time, and I was independent because by junior year, I lived in the dorm freshman year and sophomore year, but by junior year, I had an apartment with a roommate. So I had no intention of going back to Brooklyn. I liked the Bronx.
Yeah, you know who you are, and maybe it was automatic to you. But listening to it, it's really admirable what you did all on your own, because a lot of people wouldn't go that route.
Well, they said I did things to spite my family.
Yeah, but they were positive.
But I got, well, that's what I'm saying, because I got pregnant at 13. Okay. And I didn't realize that it was statutory rape. I was drunk at 13. New Year's Eve, I got drunk, and I didn't even know that I had sex because I was drunk. But my period didn't come the next month or the next month. So,
Wow.
and then even going into the hospital, I delivered my own baby in the hallway of the hospital at 13. So by the time I was 14, 3 months later,
Yeah.
I'm talking trash to my mother. And she's
Well,
not
you
really.
already had all that experience.
She wasn't feeling the trash. So they said I wouldn't
No.
amount to anything, that I would have a house full of kids by the time I was 25 and wouldn't. And I said, that's what you think. So I graduated from high school when I was 17. I said, oh, sit. And I got my bachelor's degree when I was 21. I said, "Da, da, 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 da." And I got my master's by the time I was 23. And I said, so when my mother's sister said, well, how did you do it? I said, I did it despite y'all.
That's amazing that you had that purpose
Because
from
they kept
that.
saying, well, you keep talking about going to college, because I was saying that for years and years and years. And they kept saying, but we poor, we work. And I said, but I'm smart. I'm smart. So you apply for every scholarship. That's why I tell kids now, apply for anything and everything, and you may
Sure.
get something, but we had to apply. And
Yeah.
folks tend to not apply because they think they're not going to get. And my concern was, let them tell me no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell me no. Let them tell me no, and then they can tell me why not, or maybe where to go, which was cool. That was cool because I didn't get help until I asked for help. And even in college, when I asked for help, somebody said, even in high school, I would say, I need blah 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 because of so and so, because you're embarrassed. Not say that, but
Mhm.
if you don't say something, nobody's gonna know what you need. And when I
Mhm.
asked for help, the world opened up for me. I'm an alumnus of the Presidential Classroom for Young Americans. They sent me down to Washington to learn about government and meet all the senators, and that was because I asked my guidance counselor for help because I didn't have a code.
No, no, I don't know. You have to know somehow, somewhere, how special you are.
I know that I'm blessed. I know that I'm here for a reason because I've been dead 3 times and God keeps throwing me back. It ain't time yet. So I know that I'm blessed, and I try to do as much as I can for as many people as I can. And I'm a happy person
You
because of
can be
that.
blessed, but you had a big part in what happened to you.
Well, how would I know how to do all of this stuff if I wasn't blessed?
Well,
It just doesn't sift into your head. It doesn't fly in there.
everybody's different. And most people, I don't know if you can say somebody's blessed and somebody's not blessed. I think somebody has a sense of purpose and drive, and somebody else doesn't.
I just do what I know I need to do and hope that I don't mess up somebody else in the process. That's why, I never thought I'd be a counselor in real life,
Yeah.
but I landed in that field, I say accidentally, but I thought it's just the direction that I was supposed to go, because remember, I was supposed to teach. And I did teach at Fordham.
Oh, you taught at
I
Fordham?
sure did teach at Fordham.
What did you teach?
Black Studies. I
Oh,
did, and I
okay.
didn't like it. So I know. That's why I'm saying I'm blessed, because at least I got to do the things that I said I wanted to do.
Right.
And you can always try something.
Mhm.
And then I found out, well, I don't want to do. So now I lecture and I give seminars because I don't have to grade you. And if you don't show up, I don't have to fail you, because
Right.
you three cuts from a class and you had to fail the student. And I felt,
Mm.
well, if they don't want to hear what I'm saying, well, I got to fail them. But that's what you have to
Yeah.
do. You have to have a standard. Fordham has standards too.
Mm.
So now I've learned. I do.
I didn't realize when I was growing up what I had really, because it was automatic. My mother used to take me to Broadway plays, and she took me to Broadway plays when they were really something. Today they're revivals a lot of the
Because there's
time.
nothing new coming out.
Exactly. But then they were dramatic. I saw Sidney Poitier in Raisin in the Sun
Wow.
with, I'm trying to think, Diana Sands, I think her name was.
Okay.
She was really a brilliant actress. Unfortunately, she died when she was very young. I think she had cancer. But Sidney Poitier, I was young, but you couldn't not see.
That's it.
He has to be one of my favorites, really. And he's an activist, too.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know how old he is now.
He's
So, how old is Belafonte?
80 something. Yeah. Yeah,
Because
they
I
up
think
there.
they're around the same age.
Okay. Well, I didn't keep up with their ages. So,
No.
but no, I haven't met them. But
She used to take me to Broadway shows, and I saw the best with the top actors. And at the time,
you just took it for granted.
I took it for granted, and I went to boarding schools
Oh.
since I was 5 years old.
Wow. You had a totally different life than me.
Exactly. The only thing is, I wouldn't recommend boarding school to people because I think you need, in your case, your mother was hard on you in a way, but I think the most important thing in life is to be a mother, because you can influence that child to such an extent. Being in boarding school, if you're, if it's a normal home, I mean, I know there are a lot of homes that aren't normal, but if it's a normal home, you're special in that house. When you get out in the world, you're not special. You're just one of several, whatever.
One of the crowd.
You're in the crowd. So I think that that affected me, that I can talk to just about anybody. And I talk to people on the train, on the plane, everything, because I had to get along by myself. Sure, it was I was going to speak in Spanish. It's really funny. My Spanish comes out sometime. I was an interpreter, and I can speak to somebody in Spanish. Then I go to speak to him in Italian, and the Spanish comes out.
Okay.
It would be great. But being away in boarding school really affected me, I think.
I don't know, because you're the second person to say that. My first roommate in my first apartment, her father sent her to boarding school to save her from the city, I guess. And I think that she really was not happy about having been sent there, because when she started at Fordham, she went wild. She was all over. I think it was because it was almost like a monastery up in Vermont. So, and I kept saying, "Wow, he sent you all the way to Vermont?" And she said, "Yeah, it was a nunnery."
A nunnery?
No, it was like a nunnery, but it
No.
was. So I was like, "Oh, that's kind of hard." And she went buck wild, so that she was a year ahead of me in school, but she graduated a year after I did, because she had to make up for her partying.
Yeah, really. No, I wasn't affected that way. As a matter of fact, even though I was in boarding school, my aunt and uncle, my mother was very depressed. At the time, you didn't know about medicine or anything, so she would sleep all day and be up all night watching TV or something like that. So I grew up with that in a way too, but it's amazing. I think people who are beaten in their homes, many times you speak to them and they say, "Well, that's all I knew." Like it was natural. They say, "Well, how did you feel being beaten?" "Well, I didn't like it, but that was that was the way it was." And nobody ever came to our house.
No?
No. And I'm not used to having people. My husband, he always wants a ton of people around. He cooks for like 10 people when we're in Italy. But I was used to being alone, and nobody ever came to our house. I don't think my mother had a friend.
Wow. Well, our house was always. I mean, even if we weren't there, my brother's friends were there. It was like my mother had the neighborhood was there, and my grandmother too. Though it was, well, she had 13 kids as well, but they didn't live with her at the time. Wow. It was only 2 lived with her, but it was always, and they never locked the door. The door was always open. People would come in and go as they please. Now, can you imagine that now?
No, not at all.
So it's a whole different time, because we were talking about we need to get the neighborhood back. We don't even have a neighborhood watch anymore. I'm talking about, and it wasn't a organized neighborhood watch. You just knew that Mrs. Brown was looking out the window and she's going to tell on you. So you better act right. And we don't have that anymore.
I don't know if it's true, but I found when I was in school and later in life that I met people from the South. I'm saying something that maybe sounds revolutionary and really, not aggressive, but assuming something. I found that people that were from the South, black people particularly, that were from the South or that were from the Caribbean, tended to do well and to go. I don't know if it was structure of the church or what, from where they came, but you have people from the Caribbean that will have 4 and 5 jobs.
Oh, because you're lazy loud if you don't.
Exactly.
But I'm from Brooklyn and I had 3 jobs and I carried 16 credits.
Yeah, but you're very special.
No, it was necessary. I needed to eat. I needed coffee. You have to do what you have to do. And that's what our young people now don't know. Do what you have to do, and you don't have to break the law to get what you need. Because when I wasn't working and getting a check, I was crocheting, I was braiding people's hair, I was doing people's nails, I was cleaning people's houses. You do what you have to do to get what you want. I knew I had a goal,
That's it. That's very important
and
to
that
have a goal.
unfortunately our kids don't have plan A, plan B, and plan C. And senior citizens don't have plan A, plan B, and plan C for retirement. They're
Right.
just kind of there. I mean, so many of the people that are older than us, even, they're hanging out at Empire and those casinos, just throwing the money in the toilet.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, you can do more with your stuff than that. Well, I win sometime. I said, but if you put it all back in the machine, did you win?
Sure.
Okay, so you won, and then you said, here, take it back. I don't need it.
But I'm glad I don't live in Las Vegas
But,
because
I mean,
because I
Empire.
was there and I won once. I won $180 and I put
Wow.
it all back.
Oh, you did.
Yes, I was playing you just your finger gets tired. You
Oh,
just
the slot
one of the
machine.
no, it was the
Oh.
wheel of fortune, I think it was
Oh,
called.
okay. I don't
And
bet
I
on.
was there, and I said, well, now I'm gonna go. But so it's a good thing that I don't live there. I think.
Okay, and they don't have that in Empire or in. There's a casino in Queens now too, right?
Yeah, but I like Las Vegas.
Oh, I've never been to Vegas. I've been to Reno, but not Vegas. So.
Reno's probably pretty cool too.
I don't gamble, so I went there for bowling.
Yeah.
So I went there for a bowling tournament.
No, I don't gamble cards or anything like that. First of all, now I surely couldn't keep track of the cards. But even then, so I'm just on the machines. I don't do roulette or anything like that.
Okay, but I'd rather you do the comedy. Thank you very much.
No, the comedy is certainly more satisfying. When you're out there and you're making people laugh, it's
the best medicine in the world.
Yeah, when I did that show in front of 200 people, while I was doing the show, I was thinking, I don't believe this. And people laughing and everything. Yeah, I was lucky because somebody, picked me for the show. So I did it, and I remember it as something really important. So, but.
Okay, so I want to thank you for coming and sharing.
Well,
it wasn't that bad, right? We
no,
good. And to
one
my
thing.
audience, I want to
Oh,
thank
I
you
didn't
for
know.
choosing In My Shoes. I'm Hilda Kathy Broady, your host. Stay well. See you next week.